All right, believe it or not, everything in this fragrance industry is not all rainbows and butterflies. Some of these clone fragrances genuinely suck. As you can see, I've got about 220 fragrances behind me. Some are misses. Everyone always talks about the wins. Let's talk about the misses. Which ones should you skip and what should you get instead? Let's talk about it right now. Welcome to the channel, people. My name is Keenan. Keenan Cologne is my page. As you know, please do me a favor. We are a brand new channel here. We are trying to gain traction as quickly as possible and build a large, happy community of people just like me and you who love all things fragrance. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button if you're new here, and please watch my other videos if you've been here before or if you're new here. But the topic of discussion today is which clone fragrances are overhyped and just not worth your time and your money. All right, let's start off with this one here, Afnan Supremacy's Collector Edition. Now, I'm just kidding. This thing is gas. You got to grab this if you hadn't already. However, the Supremacy line does have a little brother. It's called Supremacy in Heaven, also by Afnan. This stuff is okay, but I don't think it's worth your time or your money for the simple fact that this is cloning Silver Mountain Water by Creed, which is loved by many. It is a smooth, citrus, green tea type of fragrance that has a little bit of aromatics, but it's mainly just aquatic, smooth with that green tea note that cuts through. This is a great fragrance for the gym. The reason I say you guys should skip this is because there are better interpretations out there for Silver Mountain Water that get closer, that pack more of a punch than this does. It's just a little bit on the weak side, if I'm being honest. If you guys are after Silver Mountain Water DNA from Creed, please do yourself a favor. Take a look into Sauvage by Club de Nuit. Sauvage, to my nose, opens up with that same fresh, daily wearable vibe, that citrus, masculine, aquatic, watery, really fresh green tea vibe that you would get from things like Creed Silver Mountain Water, but it almost, to my nose, I'll put the actual note breakdown on the screen here. To my nose, it just smells punchier. This has like a more masculine vibe to it, underlying, almost like they put like a black pepper type of note in there. It is absolutely incredible. And I gotta admit, my expectations were pretty low when I got this in. As I said before, because of how I felt about Afnan Supremacy in Heaven, this just leaves something on the table that is hard to describe. It just leaves you wanting more and it just doesn't quite deliver. Okay fragrance, great fragrance. Check this one out instead. Now this next one I'm going to get a lot of hate for because it is coveted. People love it, especially the young men out there. Young guys absolutely lose their mind when it comes to Afnan 9 p.m. This is the OG, the original version. I have a few complaints with this. The first complaint is not the presentation. You get this really heavy, really expensive feeling ball for the lid. This thing feels quality. I think the bottle looks slick. It's really clean. The issue I have with it is twofold. The first issue is when you smell it, when you first buy it, and I've heard this from 4 other people, this stuff needs to macerate more than I think a fragrance should. The maceration process, for those of you who don't know, is supposed to happen at the factory when they initially blend the fragrance. However, so many folks have purchased this in such a large volume all at once that they send these things out seemingly too fast, because when I first got it, I really didn't pick up any of that bubblegum sweet plum vibe and that Fougere barbershop lavender that you get on the dry down. All I really got was just straight alcohol with like a little weird synthetic sweetness. This is supposed to be a clone of Ultra Male by Jean-Paul Gaultier. However, that brings me to the second complaint I have about this, and it is the actual scent profile itself. They could have just done better. It smells okay. Very, very inexpensive fragrance. You do get the bubblegum sweet plum vibe that you get from Ultra Male after this macerates for a couple extra weeks, mind you. But it just overall smells a little bit synthetic. Smells budget friendly, though it is budget friendly. I don't know about you guys, but I like to get a little extra bang for my buck. I like to spend a little bit of money on my fragrance and have it smell very expensive. That is where this other one comes into play. Meet Rayhan Lion. This thing is the best inspiration of not only JPG Ultra Male, but in my personal opinion, almost anything. Not only is this thing spectacularly close to the OG, again, bubblegum sweet plum, you get that woody Fougere vibe, that lavender fresh manly vibe that you can rock anywhere and everywhere, and it lasts forever. The performance is beastly on this. You get a nice magnetic cap, but more importantly, in my opinion, this thing actually smells better than the OG. Yep, you heard me correct. I said better. I think this stuff smells better than Jean Paul Gaultier's Ultra Male. It tones that sweetness down. It brings a more woody note up, more masculine, and it definitely is a powerhouse. I get about an hour more on skin than I do with the original JPG. And it's a hell of a lot better than 9 p.m. And that brings me to the last fragrance of the day that we're going to discuss that I think is not that great. You can definitely do better. I sell a ton of it, but I always give a disclosure. I let my people know, listen, if you're on a tight budget, I get it. Maybe spend 4 or 5 extra bucks and do better. And that is YCZ Charm Unfolds Marine and YCZ Aroma Gents. Okay? Of these two fragrances, I will just say up front, Aroma Gents is better in my personal opinion. I think this smells a lot closer to the OG that is cloning. As you guys can tell from the bottle, this is a clone of YSL EDP. And as you can see from the bottle, this is supposed to be inspired by Bleu de Chanel. To my nose, it smells like the EDT. And I'm just going to keep it real. Boring. Smells good, smells fresh, nothing wrong with it. Have no issue with it, other than performance. Performance is lacking. I get about 5 hours on skin with both of these. But the scent profile, mass appealing, aquatic. As I said, this one has a little bit more of a quality vibe to it, but it's still lacking. If you guys were looking for something that is budget friendly, daily wearable, if you want something in that aquatic, fresh, blue type of space, I would highly recommend taking a look at Bella Vita Luxuries products. Not all of them. You got to be careful with them. Those are not all bangers. But I do have one that I think you guys would really like. And that great alternative is Bella Vita's Goat Man. Okay, if you guys have never heard of this, to my nose, this smells on par, almost one for one to me, to Dior Sauvage Eau de Parfum. This is coveted in the fragrance industry. We all know and love it. We know it's a safe designer that's guaranteed to get you compliments. You're going to smell clean and you're going to smell like you spent money on your fragrance. To my nose, this smells almost one-to-one with it, given the fact that I get about 1 hour less performance out of this than I do this. Sauvage EDP, on my skin chemistry in particular, I get about 8 hours total longevity, whereas I get about 6.5 to 7 hours on skin with this. But I will say, with discounters, you can get this thing for under 20 bucks. And as you can see, this is a full 100 ml bottle. I just think if guys are on a budget, you don't want to spend a bunch of money. Instead of getting something like this from YCZ, take a look at Bella Vita Luxuries Goat Man. So that's it. The truth is, I don't hate any of the fragrances that we went over. However, they are misses. What you have to understand about fragrances, people ask me all the time, hey, Keenan, can you discuss some stuff that's not good? Yes, I absolutely can, but what you have to understand about fragrances is, especially ones that are duping designers, is designers are meant to be mass appealing. These things are created so that way most people love the way they smell. So even if you don't love the way a fragrance smells that's based on a designer, typically you'll at least think it smells okay. Smells pretty good at minimum. But my job is just to put you guys on for the money that you spend, if you can do better and what you should do instead. If you guys love this type of content, if you love all things fragrance, please, 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 please do me a favor. Takes 2 seconds. Just click that subscribe button. We are a brand new channel. I cannot grow without your help. I will be posting multiple videos every single week discussing what's hot and what's not in the fragrance world. As I mentioned earlier, these are the 3 alternatives for the fragrances that I think you can do better than. Okay, we got Rayhan Lion, we got Armaf Club de Nuit Sillage, and we have Bella Vita Luxuries Goat Man. But I gotta ask you guys just one teeny tiny favor. When you guys go out and buy these fragrances, do me just this one thing. Thank me when they come in. I appreciate you guys. I'll catch y'all in the next one.